Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy, can I commence the session?
Yeah. Yes, madam, please.
Thank you. A very good evening to all of you. I'm Rupa, Secretary at BCIC. Thank you very much for joining the session on digitizing supplier relationship with Nimble S2P. The session is organized under the aegis of Manufacturing Expert Committee. Thank you, Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy, for accepting our invitation to address at this session. Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy is the co-founder and CMO of Techpanion. The chamber acknowledges the support of our member organizations, Mrs. BUHLER, FUNDERMAX, IAMPL, SONA Group of Companies, MTR Foods, SDMIMD, TVS Motor, VISHWAS, and WIPRO Limited for their support in all the activities of the chamber. I would like to briefly introduce Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy. He is currently responsible for looking after the marketing and operations of the automation and SAS product Nimble S2P. His main arena of work involves spearheading business expansions and sales and marketing. His distinguished skill sets includes a remarkable experience of over 15 years in consulting, analytics, business modeling, and implementing strategic initiatives. The techno-commercial professional holds a postgraduate degree in business administration from New Delhi and ECM masters from AIIM London. He has previously worked successfully in prominent operations, finance, and marketing domains before starting his venture and leveraging his expertise. Once again, I thank all the participants for making it convenient to join this session. I now hand over the platform to Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruba, for your kind introduction. And thank you, BCIC, for providing us a platform to speak on this. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is clear.
Right. We can begin, right, Rupa ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Hey, hello, everyone, and good evening. Thanks for taking out time and joining this particular session. I've seen in the invite, it's a 1.5 hour session, but I think we had spoken about 30 to 35 minutes. We want to keep the session very short. And then we can always have any questions or have a conversation after the presentation. So basically, we are going to talk about a very important aspect in terms of supply chain, which is on the supplier relationship. A lot of companies, especially the manufacturing side of it, have understood that digitization of suppliers is being a long overdue. So we are talking about a landscape where a lot of companies have implemented ERPs. These could be, small scale ERPs like, Tally, etc. Or they could have enterprise-wide ERPs like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, etc. But the point which brings us here is that all the transactions which are internal to the company is on the ERP side of it, and it's working well. But all the other transaction which is external, which is supplier facing, is on emails, phone calls, or on manual mode, which creates a lot of problems. So this area, if you look at all the other departments like sales, marketing, operations, there's a lot of software and digitization already happening. But on the finance, accounts, procurement, there is a lot of what do you call gap in connecting with the suppliers and the vendors. We would like to touch upon three important things. One is the supplier data. A typical organization would have collected the supplier data over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. How good is this data? What is the kind of statutory verification which has happened? Some supplier who is MSME 3 years before may not be an MSME today, right? So the first thing is struggling with the verification of supplier data from GST to bank account to a lot of other things. The second part with the digitization is that they are engaging with a lot of suppliers whom they don't want to, which means that they want to really check the compliance aspect of the suppliers and how do we onboard these suppliers from a procurement and finance, aspect. And then the growing need of collaboration. And today, all the enterprises would like to have a very strong brand reputation amongst the suppliers, and the policies and communications they would like to put it on a digital channel rather than on emails and phone calls. So this gives a greater control for the organization, as well as a better relationship with the suppliers. And the last one, which is the gamut of problems, which is in the internal side of an enterprise, especially the F&A department, is when you have a large set of transactions happening on supplier side, the productivity in terms of processing this invoice, there is a lot of errors like duplicate payments. The contract is already expired, but the payment has been done. The debit notes are not, come from the suppliers, etc. So these problems put together, make a very compelling case for digitization of the supplier transactions. Yes, we would say that even 5 years before or 4 years before also this was the case. But now with especially e-invoicing and the digital workflows into play, this is not something which is a wish list, but something which is mandatory for any organization to have an interface which is towards their supplier on a centralized platform. To make it very simple, I think, let's wear a CFO's hat. If I'm a CFO of a manufacturing company, doing a fair scale of revenue and having thousands of suppliers, then what do I really want? And I assume that I already have an ERP, which is of an enterprise grade. So I'm happy with the internal automation. What are the other things? There's a top of the mind things which I really want. Number one, when an supplier is getting onboarded, I want to really check all the parameters in terms of statutory, in terms of his licenses, etc. And it's not just about a document verification, it is actually a data verification, which means that if I can check it from the right source, if the SIN number can be checked from the MCA portal itself, if the GST can be checked from the GSP portal, then I think that's a great thing to have. And also keep it periodically so that they don't get into if I have an import export license and it is an yearly license, we would like to check this yearly. So that's the ask number one. Number two, we don't want the suppliers or the vendors to be onboarded on emails, Excel sheets and documents, because this tends to be a longer cycle, and there's a lot of loss of information and accountability coming into play. So the second ask from a CFO is, can I digitize my vendor onboarding? The third ask would be the supplier's data completeness or the vendor's data completeness. As I told you, statutory information is one thing. The other thing is to capture all the product details, or the location, a lot of details which could be useful, in the long run needs to be also taken into account. And also measure a lot of KPIs and how this particular supplier is doing, what is the kind of payments going to the supplier, what is this quality measurements or delays, deliveries, etc. So this kind of gives a portal for a CFO to make sure that right from onboarding to payment, he can track the supplier's important activities and transactions on a regular basis. Then comes invoice submission and tracking. Why don't we have a portal where the suppliers can upload the invoices, and they are also happy because the payment status would be visible on the portal and they need not call up the finance guys or the operations guys at sites to know about their payment. It goes a long way in taking the suppliers confidence and trust. Then comes again from a CFO, if I'm going for a bank loan, I really want to know how much invoices has to be payable this particular month, quarter, year. So there is needs to be a real-time view of the liabilities, and also check a lot of factors before the payment. I mean, there are companies which would delay the payments more than 45 days for an MSME, and then you have to go and get the certificates, declarations, etc. when really the vendor would have actually submitted it late. So there is a lot of checkpoints which we do right from the GSP portal to the submission, which makes a lot of things easy for the CFO to do the payments before doing all these checkpoints. Then there is errors in terms of matching, duplicate payments, duplicate invoices. So these are burning issues. It depends on what is the scale of operations. If the scale of operations is large, then these issues are amplified. If the scale of operations are less, then it's a cyclic occurrence. Then you have automating all the invoice approvals. Let's say you're talking about a non-PO or a service invoice which needs approval at the factories or site offices which are away from the F&A department. Maybe the department is in Bangalore, the core finance team, but the projects are running in, let's say, in Calcutta or Delhi or UP. Then to make sure these approvals are on a single platform for even the audits to really look at how this particular invoice has been approved is now a mandatory thing. Then the core finance team should be devoid of doing a lot of queries with the suppliers. They would rather dedicate that time for finance activities than query resolution. So these are practical problems which we have seen, and a lot of CFOs have echoed this. So this is basically from our network of CFOs who have told what are the real problems. In fact, we had done a very informal kind of poll, and out of 30-40 items, these 10 items are the most echoed problems beyond having an ERP in their place. So how do we really help in? We have a product called Nimble S2P, which is nothing but a quick and easy way to automate the procurement and the finance side of it. So whatever I have spoken, we have just broken into 5 parts. Supplier onboarding. How do we implement a system which can do a lot of verification, master data management, and making the onboarding a digitized one? How can we give a supplier portal to all the vendors to make sure they come on a platform and transact with their companies? And how can we automate invoice processing? So when we talk about invoice processing, that itself is a varied topic in terms of what type of invoices, materials, services, non-PO, advance, freight. So there is a gamut of operations which needs to be done at the F&A level as well as at the stores and the receipt level as such. So there needs to be a system which can talk to the existing ERPs. So we are tightly integrated with most of the standard ERPs in terms of Tally, Prime to SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, Infor, etc. To make sure that all the data which is there as a masters in the ERP is used in the right way, and the invoice processing can be done on an automatic basis. To put it very simple, we can even enable a straight through processing, which means that there is no touch in terms of processing the invoice, but it comes to the CFO or the finance guy for having a review, and then the payment file is generated post the approvals. Then there is help in reconciliation. For example, one of the vendors have not filed the GST for the last invoices. Automatically, the system would stop the next invoice and pop up to the F&A guys whether you want to stop this payment or hold this payment or a particular amount. So all the business logics which is required for a checks and balances can be done. Plus, the audit, there is a read-only screen where they can look at what are the invoices processed, how this particular invoice is being processed, what are the supporting document which is required, etc. So a very simple example is in terms of an infrastructure company, there is running accounts billing. So there is a lot of attachments which is required. And during the approval, all this has to be, you can have MSME, you can have FSSI, you can have all the necessary checkpoints, including import export code, etc. And even the bank account, you can see here, is being validated on a real-time basis. So what essentially is a 1 week stuff, you can see in 5 clicks, the supplier is being onboarded. These are the information in terms of the product, in terms of what the statutory compliance is there, and also the company details, and the supplier onboarding is done. So put it very simple, what used to take weeks is done in few minutes because these are all real-time validated, and it comes for the approval of the finance team. And once they approve, the vendor code is generated, and the vendor gets a supplier portal for doing all his transactions. Um, just to put in how do the modules really look like. You have a supplier registration module, which I showed you. You have a PO and invoice management. You have profile management for updating the information on a regular basis, because there are vendors over a period of time will have multiple GSTs, so you can add multiple locations, GSTs, etc. Invoice processing, as I just mentioned, and you have tracking. The invoice payments can be tracked by the vendor on the supplier portal, depending on what you really want. So you can show in progress, accepted, or to be resubmitted, etc. And it also connects with the GSP portal. So all the e-invoices are automatically validated whether they are active, posted in the GSP portal. The header information is matched with the POs, etc. So a lot of automation is pre-built, and reminders which is required for the suppliers. There is an agreement repository which connects all the agreements of the supplier in the same place, so you don't miss any agreements, expiry, reminders, etc. And then there is a lot of reports for the CFOs in terms of measuring the suppliers' KPIs. So what does this really boil to, right? As I told you, a lot of enterprises which have ERPs in place, this is the next logical step to take, because the supplier side of it needs to be digitized, and it gives us a lot of benefits in terms of business agility, but also reducing the turnaround time in terms of not just onboarding but also processing invoice, etc. Cost savings, because a lot of things which otherwise a manual person would be doing with to and fro departments is done by the bot itself, right, with the system itself. So there is a lot of AT savings, productivity increase, and a complete 100% real-time visibility for the stakeholders in terms of the payments, what is the payables, what is the kind of transactions happening, etc. And also it improves the brand image of the enterprise towards the vendors and suppliers, because now you can monitor their queries and resolve the queries in a in a matter of few hours. So that is also a great benefit to have. Beyond that, we actually presented a paper to the government of India under the Startup India scheme, and we were the finalist for National Startup Awards 2021. Primarily because we see a lot of paper-based communication, a lot of paper being used, whether to communicate to the supplier internally, externally, etc. So this kind of digitization beyond the business benefits also is an automation for nature, because a lot of paperwork is being quelled here, and it can be digitized. Similarly for e-invoicing, now that in from August, even 5 crore company comes under the e-invoicing, the path towards digitization of supplier is very much accelerated. Just to sum, because I know, again, as I told you, most of you guys would be expert in finance and all the procurement process, etc. So rather than having a world knowledge of where this is going in terms of procurement, how large, what is the other countries doing, I think what I would really focus is in India. Now there are companies which are having a vision to make sure the entire gamut of right from the supplier initiating a relationship till the payment, as well as the KPI measurement, is all done on a single platform. So we have a case study where it's an infrastructure company which had issues of tracking and monitoring invoices. Often there is departmental disputes of not handling the crucial invoice in the right way, due to which vendor continuity, production, also for some matter the service side of it get affected, and a lot of manual based supplier verification, which leads to a lot of risk in terms of getting the input credit in time, paying penalties, and also having low quality service providers. Then there is delayed payments and compliance issues. So all these problems were encountered at this particular infrastructure company, which had more than 40 plus projects across India. And so the finance team was in a fix, and they choose Nimble S2P, which could do a lot of streamlining of process in terms of approvals, in terms of completely mapping the invoice process, whether it's a non-PO, whether it's a service PO, whether it's a material PO, etc. And also enabling checks and balances for the payments, and creating a complete visibility for the CFO office. Plus, uh, the verifications, which I showed you just a few minutes before, made it very easy for a supplier to fulfill the information required, and the data team on the ERP side to generate vendor codes. The results were very well received by the entire enterprise, with 100% transparency and visibility, more than 45% improvement in productivity, and supplier onboarding is hardly a few hours job, and the entire process was reduced to few hours instead of weeks. As they say that it's an easy to use automation platform, which has eliminated around 80% of the manual task and made sure that the ERP is actually working better when connected with Nimble S2P. So the question is, I know there are varied companies in this forum. Some might be having a small scale ERP into different domain of manufacturing, maybe some component manufacturing, some people in infrastructure construction, some people in automobile, and some people in related manufacturing, maybe pharma, etc. How do we really go about a transformation approach? Whatever we have heard from the best practice, perspective from all the CFOs and related enterprises. One size doesn't fit all. So you have to understand how the organization really work in. Most cases, a phased-wise approach of transformation really works, because it's not just about your F&A team or procurement team. It is about the suppliers on the other side of it. So if the suppliers are motivated enough to come to the platform, then it is a very big win, and that's a good start for supplier transformation. Now the question is, the supplier ecosystem is also varied. You could have suppliers who are tech savvy, who could have suppliers who are non-tech savvy, very small, maybe a scrap dealer to anybody. So how do we really make sure that we see the light of the day in terms of transformation? Uh, the best approach which we have seen working is number one, classify your supplier ecosystem into divisions, and target for easy wins. So suppliers who are high volume invoices, you can try to transform them. Suppliers who are tech savvy can be the first people to come on to the transformation scheme, and then slowly move on. And we have got exciting tools like WhatsApp integration, email integration, so that the non-tech savvy suppliers are also built into the system very seamlessly. How do we go about these phases? Again, there is no one size fits all, but a logical way of looking at is start with our internal data management, which means that cleaning up the existing supplier data is something which is very crucial, and it's a good start. And slowly introducing them to a portal, because if you are having old suppliers and you want them to update the information, I don't think anybody would stop not doing that, because they would like to continue the relationship with you. And that's a very 5-10 minutes job which I just showed you. So the less resistance, but that's a good way of bringing them onto the portal. And then slowly encouraging them to use the portal for basic functionalities like payment updates, submitting invoice, profile management, etc. And then focusing on the internal automation. How do we do an invoice processing in a better way? Now that we have ERP, we want to go to the next level of taking the invoices directly from the suppliers and automating it on our side of it. And then comes delivery management. These are phase 4 onwards. It's mostly the case of what kind of industry you are. If you're dealing with a lot of materials, and a lot of vendors at different factories or site offices, then it makes sense. But the first three part of it, the supplier data, the supplier portal, and the invoice processing, is a very good, way of transforming digitally on the supplier side of it, as well as your F&A department. Just a quick introduction of our company. We have been in the industry for the last 5 years. We have done more than 50 plus automation projects, and we are solely focused on finance and procurement, how we can automate that. And some of our clients we work with are here, and we are also accredited by Government of India and won many awards on the procurement automation side of it. We are also a Microsoft partner, and usually we work very closely with mid to large enterprises, helping them to transform their supplier relationship and invoice processing. Happy if you can have any questions, happy to take it now, or please do mail us through this. I would also put in my email address here. It's akrishnamurthy@techpanion.com. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Krishnamoorthy. We would request the participants to unmute their mic and they can ask the queries.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. This is Prakash here from Toyota. Hello, I'm audible?
Hi,
Yes,
Prakash.
sir.
Yes. Yeah, hi, Prakash.
Yeah, basically this is on supplier onboarding, which you had explained. As you showcased, any supplier onboarding with a new one, maybe it's very faster. What about the entire migration? For example, any company which has at least 10, 20 years of experience will have more than 500, 600 of suppliers. So onboarding all of them with the existing credentials, how is that activity can be helpful?
So basically, if you're asking the timeline, it could vary from a week's time to 3 weeks time, right? How does
Okay.
it really happen from a workflow perspective is first we upload all the information. Let's assume that this company you are talking has 10,000 vendors, right? As you rightly said,
Hmm.
it's not easy, right? This 10,000 would be
Hmm.
in the last 10 years, right? So we
Hmm.
send an email link for email validation. So the first step is to make sure all the companies which are there in your database have emails, have mobile numbers.
Hmm.
If you have
Hmm.
verified their emails and mobile numbers, then the link would go, and as I showed you in the video, then they put
Hmm.
in their PAN name, PAN number. If there is data already available, it will be pre-populated and they have to verify each one of them. And then once they verify, it gets updated back into your ERP system.
Okay, so that means to say, don't no need to append any documents. Just these links will directly get linked to GST portal or any other government portals and verify on their own.
Yeah, so we will generate a PDF, which is a
Okay.
verification PDF, which will say
Okay.
that what time it was validated, what is the date time
Mm-hmm.
stamp, and what was the result. But
Okay.
our customers have both options. So some of the
Hmm.
customers would say that, let's say for GST and PAN, they don't require,
Hmm.
but they would like to have the MSME certificate uploaded, even if it is verified, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And even
So
the bank details.
yes.
Yeah, few documents on the bank details, for example, maybe NDA. So that kind of documents, it has to be attached. Yeah.
Yeah, so cancel check is not required because you are
Hmm.
doing it real time verified. But as you rightly said,
Hmm.
some of them have the comfort, so we give that option. So you have a browse
Okay.
upload option also. But
Hmm.
the point is, it is real time validated. So first thing you have a validated information. If somebody is putting,
Okay.
a GST which is inactive, the system will
Yeah.
not allow him to go forward.
Hmm. And what about the next transaction? That is payment to suppliers. Is there any host to host connect which can be connected to the bank directly for the payment?
So right now what we do is if you have an ERP system, the
Hmm.
host to host connect is with your ERP. And the reason why
Yeah.
is because if you have an LDQD process or something, then you would
Hmm.
rather do it there. And the file from the bank comes to your ERP. We use the same file to update the payment information. So the UTR
Oh,
numbers and everything which is there in the file will get
okay.
updated in the portal.
Hmm. Okay. And you have both the options. It can be hosted on your cloud and it can be hosted on our premises also.
So there is a cloud option and there is a hybrid option. So because
Okay. Hybrid.
we don't have purely on-premise because we what we do is it's a rapid movement, right? You might have
Hmm.
another 5 APIs coming tomorrow. So with on-premise,
Hmm.
you will not get the agility, right? We have to open up your
Yeah.
firewall. Then there is issues of email, domain. So we don't
Yeah.
prefer to have it, but then we have hybrid. because some of the
Okay.
organization would prefer the documents to be there in your premise. So we do a hybrid.
Mm. And all those documents can be used for QR code concept, or
Yes.
yeah, that can be enabled, right?
Yes, yes. So
Mm.
in fact, e-invoice, the moment it uploads in our portal, we scan the QR code, we go to the GSP
Mm.
portal, we check whether
Mm.
it's an active invoice. If it's an active
Okay.
invoice, we pick up the headers, vendor name,
Okay.
vendor code, date, amount,
Mm.
and then we try to match with the PO, and then only it goes to your. So the basic hygiene check is already done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much, Arun. Looks interesting. So maybe we'll
Thanks.
get in
Thank
touch
you.
with you offline.
Sure, Prakash. Pleasure speaking to you.
Hello, I'm Deepak from Ace Designers.
Hey, hi, Deepak.
So this is regarding a lot of data is through the process. How you ensure the data security into your system?
So first, from a tech perspective, data in motion and data rest all are encrypted. So these are all encrypted data. From an ownership perspective, it is completely with the customer. That is you, for example, if you are using Nimble S2P. And it is on Azure cloud. We have all the security measures in terms of giving you certificates of data securities, etc. And we also sign an agreement for data privacy. So to put it very simple, there are two sets of data. One is a PII information, which is completely encrypted and only the customer owns. And one, there are performance and other data which is used for the system to be better. So that is something which is there on the any system. So that's how we manage the data.
One more point. This you're checking the data verification on a real-time basis.
Right.
So what are the tools you use for checking those data in real-time basis? How accurate it will be?
So it's all connected to government database. We don't use any other database. So as I told you, we are empaneled by the government of India because we are one of the chosen startups in 2021 under the Startup India scheme. So we are all integrated with the entire government portal, which is MCA, which is GST, etc. So it's we don't have maintained any database. It's directly with the government.
Any customers after you taking your support, uh, any feedback or what is the customer voice after using your support?
So I have shown you all the customers we have are very reputed and enterprise grade, and we have been working with most of these guys for 3 to 5 years last. And the one thing which has come from the customer is that typically, if you're looking at such kind of system, it takes years to build. With us, we go up and running in less than 60-90 days. So which is a great thing for the finance guys. You get a sharp product because I've showed you only functionalities which we have, not that we can build that and this and all. So it's all ready-made, off-the-shelf product, which is sharp to what the voice of customers is required, and is the quickest and easiest product available in the market.
Maybe the last question: what is this system or system requirement to onboard this portal or whatever you call about?
As I told you, it's hosted. So all you need is a browser, nothing. All the hardware, everything is hosted on Azure. So on a hostel model, you don't need anything. Just a laptop and browser, that's all.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak.
From the participants.
One more question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any option or order for reports, or what kind of reports we can get through this?
Yeah. So you can get the entire report in terms of the suppliers data, which is basically the KPIs, how the supplier is been, what is the location of the supplier, how much are MSMEs, how much are enterprises, what is the kind of invoices, how much amount or billing is happening with each vendors. So there is a complete MIS with the dashboards available in the system. Most of these are out of the box, but if you want to, you can also configure reports from the system. You can schedule it. For example, you want to schedule an email list of vendors for reconciliations. You want to see how many GST vendors have not paid, and you want a monthly report that can be scheduled. All these functionalities are available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you.
Hi Arun, this is Sunidhi. Just wanted to ask a question. I've seen one of the vendor portal where we can create the packing list and the PO creation can be done from SAP and can be moved to the vendor portal. So all these features are included in this Nimble portal also.
Yes, yes. So first
Okay.
is once the PO has been released from your ERP, it comes here
Hmm.
and the supplier can come on board and accept this PO because that is the first step which the vendor does. Plus,
Okay.
against a PO, he can generate an advance shipment note or a delivery note. And if he puts in his e-way bill, we are integrated with the e-way bill APIs also. So the driver details and truck details and all the other things he can put it in this, and the delivery mechanism can also be tracked. So as I told you during the presentation, I didn't want to make it a complex. I thought that I will show only the simple things because this kind of requirement, it depends on what is the scale of company. So right from the PO is being released till the payment is being done, it's all mapped in the system.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Any more questions from the participants?
Yeah, I have one more. Arun, can the source code be provided?
Prakash, that is something, see, basically what we do, I understand, since it's a startup, it's a standard question. The way I would answer this is, in a case where this particular startup is not existent, we can do an escrow to have, confidence in terms of, continuity, right? So that is something which we can take it offline, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? So, would there be any summing up, Mr. Arun, or can we conclude the session?
No, I think, as I told you, even with customers, we do a 40-minute stuff, 30-minute stuff, right? So long lecture of talking to professionals already there doesn't make sense. That's why to the point, digitization is here to stay. And we are here to help the journey for all the enterprises. And thanks for BCIC to really put in effort to get so many people on to the webinar. And thanks everyone to take out your time. I hope we have shown something very useful. We didn't want to mix marketing and stuff like that. We want to be very straight. So this is what we do, and happy to help you guys. Please reach us if this finds any value to your organization. Thank you and have a good day.
Yes. Thank you very much. And please do write to the secretariat, to us, or to Mr. Arun Krishnamurthy, who has shared the contact details, and we will take this forward. And on behalf of the chamber, we once again express our sincere thanks, Mr. Arun, for addressing at this exclusive session. And thank you very much once again.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vidwat, for facilitating this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks. Thanks, Arun. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rupa-san, you still available?
Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Rupa-san, a couple of years back, we were promoting AutoDX. AutoDX is still there, or how different this going to be from AutoDX?
No, sir. I'm
Any
not
idea?
sure about. No. I really am not. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
If you can share and mail on some more details, maybe I can help you, sir.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.